I mean, you understand it's a crime scene.
No, I just found it on the beach. Didn't understand it's a crime scene. We've on there on the line.
This is not a crime scene, this is terrorist, okay? Yeah. If this is a crime scene, the police will already be there.
Since the start of 2020, migrant crossings over the English Channel have increased to rates like never seen before. Over the course of the past year, the number has reached 8,500. One man, Steve Laws, has taken it upon himself to engage in citizen journalism after realising that this story wasn't being covered. Now, Steve lives in Kent. He's seen this happening in his local community. He realises that it affects his family, his community and his country. And so he went out and started covering the story. Now, one of the kinds of crossing are beach landings. Now, these are notoriously hard to get a figure on because the way that they land makes it very difficult for the police to realise how many people are landing in this way. One of these beach landings Steve found out about, and he went down and he decided to try and capture it on film. But by the time he got there, all that were left were the boats. Border Force came along and he said he was claiming the boat as salvage. So they said, yeah, that's fine, go ahead, feel free to do that. He got the go-ahead from them. They even helped him on with the life vest. They waved him off from the shore as he set off in the boat. But then another crew of Border Force officers intercepted Steve and one of his friends in the boat. Now, they thought he was a migrant in need of rescue. And they went over and, of course, they found Steve in a boat and not a migrant. Now, had it been a migrant, that migrant would have been taken off to a hotel or barracks and been put up and given a free phone and free dental and healthcare and clothing and you name it, they would have got it all. But because Steve is a British citizen, he is now today in court facing charges on some arcane, strange laws, designed to intimidate him and stop him from covering this story. Steve has done a great job over the past year of keeping this story fresh in the press. He posts his videos on Twitter and YouTube and gets the story out there. Millions of people have seen his videos. It is no wonder then that the police and Border Force and the Home Office are not happy about what he's doing and trying to shut him down. They don't want you to see what he is reporting on. They don't want you to see what is happening down on the coast. Steve is in court today. He's just gone in to see the judge now. We spoke to him earlier on. This is what he had to say. So you're actually about to go up into court. Could you tell me what the charge is?
The charge is, basically, it's for taking a rigid, hull-inflated boat without the consent of the owner or other lawful authority, I think is the correct
Right, so it's a very long, mealy-mouthed, technical...
Yeah.
But what exactly, to simplify it...
To simplify, it's joyriding.
Joyride. So what teenagers do when they go out and steal cars and hotwire them and crash them and that's put in a rubber dinghy off the coast of Kent.
That illegals landed on.
The illegal immigrants that morning had landed on a beach, and you've just gone along and...
That's why I went along the beach. I went to see if I could capture the beach landings. I see on the ship tracker that beach landing's going to happen. So I tried to get down there. The time I got there, it already happened. There was no illegals there, just the dinghy.
And they'd left the dinghy.
The dinghy had no tags on. It wasn't secured off. It was just left.
All of the life vests.
And all the life jackets was in there.
But am I not right in saying that Border Force gave you permission to do this?
Oh yeah, as soon as we turned up to the dinghy, well, the other two people was already there when I got there. As soon as we turned up, the Border Force arrived and they was like, oh, you can't take this. And we was like, oh, it's by lawful authority. He pulled out the form which said that he's claimed it by salvage rights. He's filled it out. They took his name and address. They phoned the head office to say, is this okay? Head office came back and the Border Force gave their blessing.
So the thing in the law where it says without lawful authority basically means that you can't really be done for this charge.
That's a very grey area to say lawful authority when the Border Force was there saying that
if the Border Force aren't a lawful authority on rubber dinghies, then who are?
Yeah, that's it, basically.
Yeah. So they gave you authority, they gave you the permission, they in fact waved you off from the shore.
Yep, gave us guidance on how to use the dinghy to do it safely.
So they actually taught you how to use it.
We had to put a life jacket on.
Right. Didn't they help you put the life jacket on?
Just to make, they didn't. Basically to show you how to put it on safely because they obviously didn't want us to go out safely, but they knew what we was doing was legally. So
really, you did definitely have permission.
We had permission from the Border Force, 100%.
So why do you think they brought this charge against you?
I think it's to put people off taking the dinghies because at the end of the day, they're landing on the Kent coast all the time, and if the Border Force don't get there in time and somebody else gets them, they can take the dinghies. I think they're worried a kid might take one or something like that, but at the end of the day, people are taking them, they might take them to sell and something like that. But the fact that I've been done on a theft charge, for it to be theft, it has to be acted dishonestly. But the whole thing was uploaded on Twitter as I was doing it.
So you weren't trying to avoid.
No,
capture,
it's just to show that you can possibly do this. This is legal to do.
So one of the things that you've been doing for the past year is you've been filming migrants going into camps, migrants coming in on dinghies, border force actually taxiing them in on their ribs, operating like a taxi service for migrants who are in the channel. And you've really brought it to public attention. People have seen it on Twitter. You've got millions and millions of views, and you've been hit with this charge. Probably not because they expect that they can secure a conviction.
More to deter me.
But to deter you, to intimidate you, to basically put you out of business.
They just want to try and silence me. They took my phone and my camera when I actually got arrested for the charge, which is completely stupid. They said it's part of the evidence, but I don't know what evidence you need when it's clear as day that I'm on the dinghy.
Yeah, and it's all on Twitter.
That's how they found out. It was on social media.
But your phone and camera, they're the tools of your trade.
Yeah.
And you sort of,
so they took them to try and stop me filming. Right, it lasted for about 2 days. And then
so you think they're trying to put you out of business? So you just bought a new phone?
Yeah, just bought a new phone.
Do they still have your old phone?
Yeah. No, they've got that back now, but they had it for about a month.
So clearly they saw you carried on filming and streaming. You weren't cowed out of doing it.
No, it's not going to deter me. I've done nothing wrong. All I've done is... The worst thing is, I wasn't even riding the dinghy. I asked for a ride and the person who claimed it legally. It's just because I put the rule on social media, it got shared all over Facebook and everything and Twitter, and then everyone was like, this is a possibility, and then all of a sudden I get arrested whilst I was filming at the port.
So you've been targeted because you're the guy who's putting this stuff on Twitter, getting this news out to the masses, because the mainstream media, journalists won't cover it.
And if they do cover it, they lie, basically. They come down, they show a woman in child, but they won't show the 9 boats of blokes that have just turned up.
When I was down in Dover, actually, we were filming a dinghy coming in, and we were a photographer, and we spoke to him, and he said, I don't know why I bother. The papers don't buy these pictures unless it's women and children in the dinghy.
Yeah, they've said the same to me as well. Many of them have, but that's their job at the end of the day, so they're going to take the pictures because they need to get paid.
Yeah,
it's the actual people running the media outlets that need to be held accountable for it, because they're not telling the truth.
But you consider yourself a citizen journalist, don't you?
Yeah, well, I don't like using the term, but
but
I do.
You're just an ordinary guy who's gone out and you've seen an issue,
basically.
Doing it with your own steam, and you're just showing the truth. You're just showing videos. You're not editorialising. You're not
wouldn't even know
cutting it.
If I'm honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. So they want to shut you down because you're showing the truth, but really you haven't been stopped. I mean, probably most people would have been quaking in their boots. They would have, for the past few months, they would have done nothing. They would have, been preparing for the case. They would have been scared about going out. When their cameras were confiscated, they wouldn't have replaced them and carried on. But you just carried on.
Yeah, you've got to carry on, because people still need to see it. If I'm not there and other people are not doing it, then no one's going to see it's happening, and then it's just going to get swept under the rug.
Yeah.
People don't realise the scale, so that's why I do it.
And what exactly is the scale? I mean, what is it? 8,500 who have come over this year?
8,500 that we know of. There's always beach landings, and there's never official, we caught all 14 that landed on a beach. They just say there was a beach landing with 13 migrants. They never tell you the full figure. I've seen beach landings and there's been 20 and they've reported it as 12.
Later on, after the hearing, we spoke to Steve again. This is what he had to say this time. So you've just come out of the court where they sort of read the charges and what else?
They basically had to give my plea, which was not guilty.
Right.
And then they adjourned the case until the 11th of May next year.
6 months?
6 months away from now. And it's in Margate next time, so that's even further away from my hometown. So I'm assuming they've got everything they need, so there's no reason to delay the case.
And they say that the case is still under review.
Yeah.
So this is a preliminary trial that they've set in May.
Yeah, they've set it just in case they do come forward with.
But it's not definite that they're going to.
No.
So what they've done is they've set a preliminary date for a case which is still under review, for which they've got all of the evidence, all of the witnesses. They know exactly what happened. You've made it clear what happened. The charges don't match up with what happened.
Basically.
So firstly, it talks about what's the term again? A rigid hull boat?
A rigid hull inflatable boat, which is more of like what the Border Force used to bring in.
The ribs, basically.
Yeah, it's like a rib rather than an actual dinghy, which we've done. So they're twice the price of them, so that's more expensive, so it makes the charge look worse.
So they've got you on a charge which is far more serious than
technically what it is. If I wasn't covering the illegals coming over, I'm pretty sure this would have just been dropped straight away. It's ridiculous. It shouldn't be even at this stage now, to be honest.
So it should be just thrown out?
Yeah, it should be thrown out. What I've done is legal. didn't break the law at all.
And it was your friend who salvaged the boat, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Not
it's
you?
my friend who salvaged the boat. Well, not my friend, I met him on the day. He's now a friend, but at the time he wasn't.
You've been brought together by the
Yeah, we brought together
case.
by what happened, yeah. And then he claimed it salvaged. It's actually his boat now. The maritime law have come back to
So he now owns the boat?
He now owns the boat, but doesn't have the boat in his possession.
And legally he owns that boat?
Legally he owns the boat. So all I've done is ask my friend for a ride in his dinghy.
Oh, it's a political issue,
It
really.
seems like a political issue because if it wasn't a migrant boat, it was just a random boat, this wouldn't even be an issue.
So because your videos are seen by millions of people and they see the reality of what's going on in this country from a weak government and a, totally complicit government actually,
pre-plans.
They're going after you for political reasons. Does that be
That
fair?
sounds correct. That sounds like a fair comment, to be fair.
But you're not going to stop, nonetheless?
No, absolutely not. I'm going to keep it out there every day. Keep carrying it on. This isn't going to deter me at all.
And you're not going to let the intimidation work? You're just going to carry on with it?
Not at all. Not a chance.
Right.
I've done nothing wrong, so...
And good luck to you.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
The new My WW Plus is our most holistic program ever. You get more of what you need to help you